The night before a wedding is supposed to be filled with nervous laughter, last-minute adjustments, and the giddy excitement of knowing life is about to change forever. That was what I had expected when I, Emily Carter, flew from my quiet hometown in Portland, Oregon, to New York City, where I was about to marry the man I thought I would spend the rest of my life with, Daniel Miller. Everything had seemed perfect. Daniel was charming, successful, and from a well-respected family. My parents adored him, my friends admired him, and even my little sister, who is usually hard to impress, had said he was the dream guy. But as I stood in my hotel suite at the Lexington, staring at my gown carefully hung by the window, I felt something unusual creeping in, a wave of unease that I couldn't explain. I brushed it off as pre-wedding nerves until that night, when there was a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. My bridesmaids had gone out for a quick dinner, and my mother had gone downstairs to speak with the wedding planner. When I opened the door, I found 3 men in black suits standing there. "Emily Carter?" one of them asked firmly. "Yes," I replied, clutching the doorknob tighter. "We were sent by Daniel Miller," the tallest one said. "He asked us to deliver an important message." My heart skipped. Why would my fiancé send 3 strangers to my hotel room the night before our wedding? I let them in, cautiously. The men didn't sit down. They stood tall, their expressions serious. The middle one, who looked like the leader, handed me a sealed envelope. "This is from Mr. Miller. He instructed us to make sure you read it tonight." With trembling fingers, I tore it open. Inside was a handwritten note. "Emily, if you are reading this, it means I trust you enough to know the truth. These men will explain everything. Listen to them carefully before you decide whether or not you will stand beside me tomorrow. Daniel." My stomach dropped. The leader cleared his throat. "Miss Carter," he said, "we work for Mr. Miller. He wanted you to know the truth about who he really is before you make your decision." I sank into the armchair by the window, clutching the letter. What truth? What followed was a story that would change everything I thought I knew. The men explained that Daniel came from a family not only wealthy but also deeply involved in charity and social causes, things I knew. But what I didn't know was how complicated his world was. His father, a powerful figure in finance, had made enemies through business rivalries. Daniel himself had been threatened before, and these men weren't just random strangers. They were his security detail. They revealed that Daniel's decision to marry me wasn't just about love, it was also about protection. By marrying me, he believed he was bringing me into his world of responsibility, trust, and danger. He wanted me to know this beforehand, so I wouldn't walk into our marriage blind. I sat there in silence, my hands shaking. I had dreamed of a fairy tale wedding, not of being swept into a life filled with bodyguards, secrets, and threats. One of the men, the youngest, looked at me kindly. "He loves you. That's why he insisted we tell you tonight. He didn't want you to find out later and feel betrayed." The oldest one added, "He said if you walk away tomorrow, he will respect your choice. But if you stay, you must know what comes with it." I looked out at the glittering New York skyline. All my life, I had wanted stability, peace, and love. Now I was being asked if I was ready for something more complicated, more dangerous, but also more real. When the men left, I sat in my room for hours, staring at my wedding dress. Tears streamed down my face. I thought about the man I loved, the way he held my hand, the way he laughed at my silly jokes, the way he promised to protect me no matter what. The next morning, I walked down the aisle. My heart was racing, but my mind was clear. Daniel looked at me with worry in his eyes, as though he was afraid I might run. Instead, I smiled. Because despite everything, I knew one thing. Love is never about perfection. It's about truth. And I was ready to face that truth with him.